Live, local, late breaking. This is 4029 News Sunrise.
Welcome back. 5:30 right now, and kids are headed back to the classroom this week. Why a local district may be updating their mask policy.
And in Waldron, the city still without clean water. What the mayor says they plan to do if they can't stop their water leak.
All right, plus early voting starting today for the District 7 seat runoff, which candidates are vying for the Republican nomination. 4029 News starts right now. Good morning, everyone. It's cold outside. I'm Yuna Lee.
And I'm Jamie Weiss. Not only is it cold, Yuna, but it is very windy, too. I'm very happy I'm inside right now.
Yeah, that wind chill, not looking good. And 4029 meteorologist Martin Larimore is here to tell us what's in store for today.
Well, we're going to be seeing, of course, that wind out there, and maybe, I've already talked about it, just a little bit of snow in northwest Arkansas.
Oh,
Maybe.
no.
We're going to get into the details on that, just a little bit of it. I've got my producer telling me she doesn't want to hear the snow either. Why does everybody not want to hear the snow? I mean, look, we dealt with a little bit of it, just like a little bit of it, Jamie. But we're going to be seeing mainly today is going to be a windy one. We won't see any snowfall today, but we could see some later on. I'll talk about that in a little bit if you're interested. Now, as we head throughout the rest of our day, we're noticing those temperatures sitting in the 20s and 30s, and we'll probably be mostly in those upper 20s by the time we get to our coldest temperatures of this morning. Most of the river valley is actually in those 20s. We've got Worcester actually at 21 is that coolest spot on the entire map today. Now, as we look at the wind gust forecast, we are going to notice winds getting up to around 20 to 25, maybe gusting up to 35 in northwest Arkansas. And as we get into the river valley, that's when we'll notice those high winds probably getting only upwards to around 25. Luckily, should start calming down by the time we get into the last half of our Tuesday. Now, again, we'll notice those winds will pick up out of the south again, and we'll top out those temperatures in the 50s across the entire region. So a little bit warmer, but there's that cold front that's going to come in. Not the snow just yet, but it will actually keep our temperatures pretty cool for our Wednesday afternoon. Notice mainly those 40s, but then there's that second system that comes through. We could see an additional shot of snow early on Thursday morning. That's the best chance to see it in northwest Arkansas. But again, we're going to break down more on if we could be seeing the snowfall coming up in just a bit.
All right, Martin, thank you. Well, 5:31 right now, and as kids go back to class, one school district says it may have to make changes to its mask policy before it reopens.
Right now, Fayetteville is in the orange zone with 33 cases of COVID-19 per 10,000 people in the district, as you can see here on this map. Now, according to the district's mask policy, if Fayetteville stays in the orange zone again this week, masks will be required. A spokesperson for the district says they're hoping to get more data by the Arkansas Department of Health this week, and they say if they can get that information by today, it will help them make that decision before students return to the classroom.
Did feel a little bit like March of 2020, but we know a lot more now than we did then. One, we know that masks work. We were able to go through the entire 2020-2021 school year without one school having to close and with no school having to pivot. And the mask played a huge part in that.
Well, class begins today in Fort Smith, Springdale, and Van Buren. Students are back tomorrow in Bentonville and Rogers, while those Fayetteville students return for their spring semester on Thursday.
5:32 right now, and the Department of Health and Human Services reporting upwards of 100,000 people are currently hospitalized with COVID-19. The last time they topped 100,000 was September 11th. Right now, 3/4 of hospital beds across the country are occupied, but only 1 in 7 are for COVID-19 patients. 5:33 right now, and 4029 News asked a local pediatrician what he recommends for families with high-risk people at home.
I'm actually recommending what are called ASTM level 2 or 3 masks, which are like actual surgical masks that you can buy online, or like KN95 or FFP2, which are similar masks, but sold basically out of Europe or China. The typical cloth mask probably isn't going to cut it with Omicron variant particularly well.
Well, this is video from a testing site at the mall in Rogers. You can see cars lined up as far as the eye can see. And more than 1,700 new cases reported by the Arkansas Department of Health. And active cases are up by more than 500. Hospitalizations climbed to more than 700. 25 people have died. There's a map of active cases by county. More than 1,400 cases in Benton County, 1,300 cases in Washington County. More than 500 people are sick in Sebastian County.
5:34 on your Tuesday. Let's get a check of the roads with Martin Larimore.
So far, it's been a very quiet day all in all for both traffic and weather. Let's take a quick look out there and see what's going on. Again, across I-49, we're seeing no problems across the entire region. So far today, it's been a very nice day all in all. Well, hopefully it stays that way because as of right now, we're seeing no problems across the entire region. We'll talk more details coming up.
Well, time right now, 5:34. The Benton County Sheriff's Office needs your help to find this girl. Michaela Smith is missing from Rogers. Deputies say the 17-year-old is believed to be in the Fayetteville area. If you have any information about where she might be, you are asked to call authorities. In Bella Vista, 2 men have been arrested in connection to the explosion that took place on New Year's Eve. Bella Vista police say they arrested Ricky Burnett and Joseph Witten. This is video from Saturday when investigators were checking the scene of an explosive device that damaged a park bench. A city spokesperson says the incident fits other small explosions across the city. The evidence suggests that one of the men arrested could be tied to the other incidents.
5:35 right now, and a major water line break in Waldron is causing schools to cancel classes. And if it's not fixed by today, the mayor says that he's looking to reach out to emergency managers about hauling water to residents who need it.
We're starting to get kind of desperate. Most people in town right now don't have much water pressure, and the people in the higher areas don't have any water at all.
Mayor David Millard says crews have been searching for a major water line break for 3 days. Says a precautionary boil order is in place. A federal judge has set a date for a resentencing of Tiger King's Joe Exotic. In July, a federal appeals court ruled that Joseph Maldonado Passage should get a shorter sentence. In 2020, Maldonado Passage was sentenced in 22 years in prison. But the appeals court said the court should have calculated his sentencing to be between 17 and a half years and just under 22 years in prison. His court date is set for January 28th. Well, 2 Republican candidates go head-to-head in a runoff election. Early voting starts today. The rule that many prevent certain residents from casting a ballot. And a New York teacher arrested for giving a teenager the COVID vaccine. Our community reacted. Plus, coming up tonight, Judge Steve Harvey is on at 7. Then it's Abbott's Elementary at 8, Blackish at 8:30, Queens at 9, 4029 News at 10.
Hello. I'll mic check for you. Today's runoff is between Republicans Colby Fulfer and Steve Unger. Polls are open 8 to 4:30 through Friday early voting.
Welcome back. The House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack is zeroing in on the former president's conduct of that day. Committee members say that they have firsthand testimony on how he resisted plans to get his supporters to leave the Capitol. They are seeking even more evidence in a trove of documents held by the National Archives that Trump is suing to keep secret. The Supreme Court could decide soon if they plan to take up that case.
A firsthand testimony that his daughter Ivanka went in at least twice to ask him to please stop this violence.
Well, plans are in place to remember what took place 1 year ago. President Biden plans to deliver remarks while House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is hosting a series of events. They include a candlelight vigil on the steps of the Capitol the evening of January 6th. That's this Thursday. 3 Arkansas men charged in connection with the Capitol riot are expected to appear in court soon. John Thomas Mott is supposed to appear in court sometime this month. Richard Barnett's next status hearing is going to be on February 1st. A judge has said that a trial date will likely be set during that hearing. Peter Stager, who's accused of beating a police officer with a flagpole, set to appear in court sometime in February. Turning to your Commitment 2022 coverage, early voting starts today for the Republican runoff election for Senate District 7. 4029's Lydia Fielder is joining us live this morning with details on when you can get out to vote early.
Jamie, today's election is between Republican candidates Colby Fulfer and Steve Unger. Early voting is from 8 to 4:30 through Friday this week. The general election is January 11th. Now, this is for State Senate District 7, which includes parts of Springdale, Fayetteville, Goshen, Elkins, and Taneytown. Just a reminder, if you voted in the Democratic primary back in December, you cannot vote in this Republican runoff. Arkansas has an open primary system, but there are a few rules when it comes to party runoff elections.
Whoever wins this January 11th election, that will be the candidate that moves forward to the February the 8th special general election. So this is basically determining, we went from 4 candidates to 2 candidates, and now we'll go to 1 candidate for the Republican Party.
We saw some long lines at voting places back in December, so make sure you get out and vote early. Just as a reminder, Lisa Parks is the Democratic candidate for the position, and that general election will be February 8th. Reporting live this morning, I'm Lydia Fielder, 4029 News.
All right, Lydia, thank you. 5:41 right now, and the Christmas Honors Organization needs your help to collect the thousands of wreaths that have been laid on the graves at the Fort Smith National Cemetery this holiday season. This year, the group is retrieving more than 16,000 wreaths, which they will clean and store before they can be reused next year. The organization hopes many will step up to volunteer.
The ROTC group, the JROTC, Northside High School, will be there. That's we're hopeful of 387 from that commitment. From then on, it's only those that hear the message I'm making right now, and does it beset them in their heart to come help. We're hopeful it can get to 500, maybe 6.
Well, to help entice volunteers to help, Christmas Honors says they will have 120 large pizzas available within the convention center to eat after a hard morning's work retrieving these Christmas wreaths and preparing them for next Christmas. 5:42 right now. Guilty, that is a verdict handed down to Elizabeth Holmes, former CEO of Theranos. But only a few counts were decided. The jury was at odds over the rest of the allegations against her. We'll break down the verdict for you. Plus, also coming up, a solution to the staffing shortage in hotels. Look at this, the company that designed this relay robot and what it can do.
And we've got a lot of things in the 7-day forecast, rain, wind, and even a little bit of snow possibilities. We're going to have details on all of this next coming week and into your weekend as well. We'll have 4029 News Sunrise returning right after this.
the most watched local morning news and weather. Thank you for starting your day with 4029 News Sunrise.
You don't need to apologize at all. You really don't. Thank you for coming here and talking with me tonight.
Can I hug you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, well, the season premiere of The Bachelor got off to a really strange start last night. Clayton Echard had his first rose rejected by Sally Carson, and Claire Helig went home even before the first rose ceremony. Coming up on Good Morning America, the show's new host will be live to tell us what's in store this season. ABC just so good about keeping the drama alive, I guess.
They are truly keeping the drama alive, and I am trying to check out this season because it's just too much of a time commitment to spend every week. Yeah. 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. It's too much. And
I feel like it's an emotional commitment too.
It is. It's emotional, and I'm also emotional about the cold and the wind and the thought of more snow because I'm good. Yeah. I'm good with it.
Yeah, good day to stay in and watch TV, though. 4029 meteorologist Martin Lattimore is here. Martin, it's cold. Turn on the TV, the fireplace.
I'm still confused. Who gave the rose to who?
Okay, so this is The Bachelor.
Oh,
the Bachelor gives the roses to the women. The women said no. There you go. That is your little recap there.
Wow, rejected by the man. Dude must be in a lot of pain.
He's got other women. It's fine.
Got like 30 of them. Don't you worry.
Oh my goodness. Well, we don't get a lot of chances when it comes to weather. We basically get what we can get because we got a lot coming in later on this week. So here's what we're expecting for the rest of our week ahead. Now, as we head throughout the rest of our day, it's really just going to be windy all in all. Temperatures will be in the 20s for a good portion of our morning with a handful of 30s later on for our day today. But actually, we're going to be looking at a bit of a warm up coming in later on this afternoon. We'll be in the upper 40s for northwest Arkansas. Winds are going to be getting a little bit gusty, up to about 35 miles an hour, so those strongest gusts, but winds will calm down by Wednesday, and that's when we could see maybe a brief little shot of snow, given particular situation actually pushes in on our Thursday. It's also going to be very cold as well, highs only in the 20s. Meanwhile, our Friday and Saturday each getting warmer with a handful of rain chances on our Saturday and Sunday. Meanwhile, in the River Valley, those rain chances are a little bit better, sitting at 30 instead of 20. Also a little bit warmer in the mid-50s. Meanwhile, not going to be seeing any snow chances in the River Valley for our Thursday, but regardless, still going to be pretty windy. Wind gusts expected to be as high as 25 in the River Valley, so not as gusty, still pretty gusty, but not as gusty as Northwest. Also going to be pretty chilly as those two cold fronts coming in on Thursday. Highs will only be in the 30s on Thursday.
All right, well, a New York biology teacher is coming under fire for allegedly administering a COVID-19 vaccine to a teenager at her home without permission from the teen's parents. The investigation unfolded on New Year's Day, and the 17-year-old told his mother the day that he allegedly received this dose. It's unclear if the teen was monitored post-shot, how Laura Russo obtained the vaccine, and which brand it was.
Send panic to the public, because if there are people that are out there that are getting false vaccinations.
I'm in shock. I don't know how they even got access to it. Like, how is that even possible?
Well, one doctor explains why this is an issue. One needs consent, patient history to allergies, and medical knowledge of handling and procedure. They also need to know how to administer the injection properly.
Now to the long-awaited verdict in the trial of former tech billionaire Elizabeth Holmes. She was known as the darling of Silicon Valley, who promised a revolutionary blood testing technology that could change healthcare forever. But it turned out to be a massive deception. And now, after more than 50 hours of deliberations, a jury has decided her fate. ABC's Mona Kassar Abdi has the details.
This morning, the woman once called the next Steve Jobs could be facing decades in prison after a jury found her guilty of knowingly misleading investors about her company's blood testing technology.
This verdict was definitely a mixed bag.
On Monday, a jury convicted Elizabeth Holmes on some of the 11 fraud charges she faced, including a guilty verdict on 4 counts of defrauding the company's investors. But she was found not guilty on 4 counts of committing fraud against patients.
That was a harder case for the government to make. There were more leaps that they had to go through in order to show the jury that this was wire fraud. Remember, this was a case about wire fraud, not about malpractice.
The jury was unable to reach a decision on 3 other charges. Holmes, sitting wearing a mask in court, had no visible reaction as the verdicts were read. Back in 2015, she topped the Forbes list of America's richest self-made women. Her net worth at age 31 was $4.5 billion. She claimed her company's device performed several diagnostic tests with only a single drop of blood. But then came allegations that the blood testing technology did not work as advertised. During her trial, Holmes took the stand for 7 days, denying she misled anyone. She also claimed that Theranos Chief Operating Officer Ramesh Sunny Balwani was physically and emotionally abusive toward her, accusing him of controlling her daily life while the two were in a relationship. Claims he denies.
I think some of that may not have been as significant for the jury as her defense anticipated.
While on the stand, Holmes said, quote, "Of course not," when asked if investors had lost money because she misled them. But during an interview with investigators before the trial, she acknowledged a number of her prior claims were not accurate.
I know that we made so many mistakes.
A sentencing date has not been scheduled. Holmes faces up to 20 years in prison for each guilty count, but she's expected to face far less than the maximum sentence. Mona Kosarabdi, ABC News, New York.
The Arkansas legislature held a joint committee meeting yesterday, with one of the topics being the nursing shortage seen across the state. UAMS Associate Vice Chancellor Dr. Tronda Ray says they start nurses' pay at $22 per hour, but a traveling nurse costs upwards of $150 an hour. The administrator at St. Bernard's in Jonesboro says this is the highest cost that he's ever seen. Both agree that the problem lies in education.
We've even seen where instructors have left because they could make more salary as a bedside nurse. So if you have that issue and that problem, then of course the root has to be addressed, which is the pay at the faculty level.
One legislative member asked why the hospital doesn't just simply raise their wages, and the hospital administrators say it's not that simple. Right now, they receive additional funding from COVID relief programs. So if they were to raise those wages, they might not be able to afford their staff once that funding runs out.
5:51 right now, and all Starbucks employees in the U.S. have a little over a month to get vaccinated against COVID-19. That's according to a message the company sent to employees on Monday. Workers who do not get vaccinated by February 9th would have to submit to regular testing, and they would have to pay for it themselves and cannot be taken at home. Starbucks is one of the first large restaurant chains mandating employee vaccinations. Monday, the Department of Justice announced that gun dealers will soon be required to sell secure gun storage devices. The devices also must be designed to be unlocked by a key, combination, or similar means.
That's probably a good thing because you do have some dealers that don't have the locks. Most of the manufacturers, the reputable manufacturers, do have trigger locks with the guns when you buy them brand new.
And the DOJ submitted the new rule to the Federal Register. It's expected to take effect on February 3rd.
Time right now is 5:52. The Federal Reserve is ending its emergency support for the economy. They plan to raise interest rates. One economist says Omicron could destabilize the economy and force the Federal Reserve to delay that.
And President Joe Biden says a new action plan to help military farms and ranches will also be led to lower prices at grocery stores. The president met with leaders in the meat and poultry industry yesterday. Biden partly blamed the increase in food prices on market distortion caused by international meat processing conglomerates.
Capitalism without competition isn't capitalism, it's exploitation. That's what we're seeing in meat and poultry and those industries now. Small, independent farmers and ranchers are being driven out of business, sometimes businesses that have been around for generations. It strikes at their dignity, their respect, and the family legacies so many of them carried for generations after generation.
Well, the president says $1 billion in funding from the American Rescue Plan will go to help independent producers.
You can check out works by local artists at the famous Hardware Building in Springdale. This month's installation features artists Conrad Baker and Jay Walker. The storefront exhibit will be visible all day long through mid-February. Definitely a great thing to check out this month.
5:54, and whether it's to lose weight or eat healthier or maybe be just a little kinder. Many of us have set New Year's resolutions, but keeping them is a different story. Dr. Susan Albers, a psychologist from the Cleveland Clinic, explains that year after year, people tend to make the same resolution but rarely achieve them. She offers these tips to help you get through and be mentally prepared, ready, and don't just pick arbitrary dates to start. Also, be aware of the obstacles that you face so you can take them on. Create a supportive environment that includes being forgiving of yourself. Finally, set yearly intentions rather than specific goals, such as, I want to be more confident, and then take small steps towards that. And if the intention is to be more mentally healthy, she recommends stress management classes, counseling, or books on relaxation.
Time right now is 5:55, and robots are doing some of the work in hotels. Take a look at this. This is how some hotels are dealing with staffing shortages. So, for instance, a guest would like a soft drink delivered to the room. Well, this robot is going to handle that task. The Relay robot was designed by Silicon Valley's Savvy Oak.
They're in this kind of crunch mode where the higher paid staff are filling in for things that, frankly, robots can do.
Well, this robot only needs to be trained once to navigate the lobby and hallways. It's even been adapted to call for an elevator once inside. It could press the destination floor. And Yuna, you say that you've actually seen something like this in person.
Yeah, there's a hotel in Dallas. It's 1 out of 3 hotels owned by that company. It has this, they call it the robot butler. So you call the robot butler, order what you want, and then the robot will really get on the elevator by itself, go to your room, and then your phone will ring. You open the door. There's a robot.
Technology is just so fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's amazing. So
I can see Martin doing the robot as he's ready to talk about the weather. Oh my gosh.
Soon enough, the robot meteorologists are going to take over, and then I'm out of a job.
Well, don't hope for that. Give us the
no,
weather.
I'm saying, I was like, it's what's going to happen eventually. I don't know. Every time you see when it comes to like futuristic news, it's always just robots doing the news. I'm like, when is that going to happen? Hopefully not. But let's take a look at the weather, at least right now, not in our future. But for today, we'll be taking a look at the skies remaining mostly clear for a good portion of our day. We're going to be staying up in those upper to mid 40s for a good portion of for northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. A little bit warmer. We'll start off just around freezing and end in those low 50s for this afternoon, again with those mostly clear skies. When it comes to what we're actually going to see over the next couple of days, we could see a little bit of snowfall, but here's actually wanted to show you the differences between 2 of our models that we've got, because our models are pretty wishy-washy on if we're actually going to see it. So if you notice, this is actually the model that shows the snow across our region. You can notice that this specific thing called a trough is really digging into our region. That's the terminology we use, because you can see that it swings downward. These lines are really close to each other, and it swings right into our region. That's where we're actually looking at even more snow toward the northeast. But here's another model. This is the GFS model. It doesn't show snow into our region, but you can notice it's a lot smoother. These lines are not as close to each other as the other model is, and no snow in our region. So we're just going to be waiting on seeing what this trough does in the near future. Traffic across our region still looking good. No problems at northwest Arkansas or the River Valley.